My name is Ben Wright, and I like to take pictures. So today I'm going to be giving you an example of something I do in my creative life, which is edit the pictures that I take and try to make them as close as the original image as I can while bringing out the features that stand out in the picture. And a lot of the times, any professional photographer, which I am not, will make errors in a picture and want to correct those simple errors, and this is going to be an example of what I would do to correct this picture. So here we can see I have a cathedral I took a photo of when I was in Belgium last summer backpacking. And so here I'm going to go ahead and darken the background so I can bring out some of the sky, the blue of the sky, and I can kind of get the nice contrast between the building and the rot that exists on these windows, and it's just kind of an old building, and I kind of want to bring out the vibrance of what that would look like. So a lot of the just common things that I like to do first thing when I'm editing a picture is I like to see what the software would do. And it has these nice features called auto tone, auto contrast, and auto color. And I like to go ahead and hit these one at a time and see what they do to the picture and kind of understand what the software thinks it should bring out. And so we're going to go ahead and auto color it. And right away that just kind of brings down just out some of the more vibrant greens, and it just kind of, you can see a little bit more of the blue up here in the sky, and you can see a little bit more of the contrast in the bricks of this cathedral. So that's interesting. So let's go ahead and see what the contrast does. And again, you can see just a little bit more of the darker contrast between the bricks. And auto tone finally will just kind of just drag that histogram just a little bit more of a flat line, so you can it's just a little bit easier to see. But I kind of like the vibrance of the trees, and I don't think it makes it too surreal and detracts from this picture, so I'm going to go ahead and keep that. The next thing I'm going to do is I like to play with the brightness adjustments, and one of the things I like to do is just kind of see what the contrast, changing some contrast would do. And I think the other one I'll probably hit on here is vibrance, and we'll start talking about that. So the reason this picture appears so bright in the background is because right away I underexposed the picture in the background because I was more focused on the foreground, and I allowed less light in so that I would get more vibrance, and the background ended up a little bit more washed out. So that is so what we're going to do is we're going to try to just click in this little slider here and see what changing the brightness really does. So here you can see it kind of brings out more of that blue, and it allows a little bit more of a contrast between the light and dark in the cathedral. And that's kind of what we're going for anyway. So you don't want to get it so dark that you lose detail in this window, and that's really important to remember. Let's go ahead and move the contrast around and see what that does to this picture. So putting it way up, you can definitely see a lot more detail in this building. But what the other thing that you're going to see is that the background starts to fade too, because you're starting to see a little bit, it recognizes it as a light color. And so you don't, again, want to lose this detail in these windows, so you're going to kind of get it to a happy medium there. I think that's a good spot, don't you? Next, let's just take a look at the vibrance these settings are going to include saturation, and that's going to have to do with how surreal it looks. And so let's go ahead and open that menu and play with this slider. So the vibrance is going to just detract from the overall brightness of the picture. Otherwise, it's going to, on the other side of that, it's going to make the colors just pop a little bit more. And I like that in my pictures, so I'm going to go ahead and pick one that I like. The next thing we're just going to play quickly with is the saturation, and what that is going to bring out more of the poppy colors that I was talking about. And that's really a fun thing to do, because you can see a little bit more of the blue in the background of the sky come out when you start playing with a deeper saturation. And then you can see the green. It starts to be, you can start to lose some of the detail in the shadows, so you have to be careful of that. But we can go ahead and edit that out with the dodge and burn tool, which I'm going to talk about next. The two last tools I want to quickly go over are the dodge and the burn tool. So to access them, we're going to click and hold here. And the magnifying glass is the dodge tool, and the pinch is the burn tool. So I'm going to go ahead and lighten up the shadows on the bottom here, and I'm going to darken the sky. Alright guys, that was a review of my favorite tools in Photoshop, and here's a before and after.